Started now. Welcome to our introduction to the Atlassian Strategy Collection webinar. My name is Jason Kidner. I'm going to be your tour guide for the strategy collection over the next hour. I am an engagement director here at Valiantys. I'm also an Atlassian certified professional. I've been working with the strategy collection, what started with Jira Align about 6 years ago, and I've worked with a number of clients with Jira Align and now with the strategy collection, and currently working with almost four clients at the moment. So I definitely use these tools day in and day out with clients, and hopefully I can answer your questions. And hopefully you're going to get a lot of just good information to help decide if you want to pursue the strategy collection or not for your organization. I'm also joined on this webinar by my colleague, Kristen. She's going to be posting links in the chat. She's also going to be monitoring the chat if you have anything, questions you want to put there. But also we do have a Q&A part of this Zoom call that you can put in your questions, and there's going to be some time reserved at the end, and I will do my best to answer those questions. So really glad you could join us today. Our agenda today, let me make this a little bigger. So we're going to start with an overview of the strategy collection and also enterprise strategy and planning, what that all looks like, that framework, and just a real quick overview about each of the tools, how they fit in. Then I'm going to look at a demo of Focus and Talent, followed by a demo of Jira Align, and then we're going to have some time for questions. Hopefully I'll give a little bit more time than our last webinar. There's a lot to cover in these tools, a lot to demo, a lot of cool features. But first off, we're going to talk about just some high-level concepts and introduce the strategy collection. And to do that, we're going to start off talking about enterprise strategy and planning. So enterprise strategy and planning, or ESP, can be summarized as how organizations set and operationalize their strategy through the strategy lifecycle. When done effectively, ESP can help leaders improve their strategy to outcome management. So again, high level here, the truth is every organization already does some sort of enterprise strategy and planning in some form. Leaders in every industry are asking themselves and their teams questions like, do we have the right strategies? Do we have the right people working on the right things? Do our goals clearly align to our strategic priorities? And are we adequately funding our priorities? Okay, common questions that leaders are asking. And the answers to these questions usually live in a wide variety of tools spread around, maybe even in spreadsheets somewhere, that require lots of manual effort to really visualize them, to get answers to questions, to see how things are performing, to make those decisions with real-time data. So enter Atlassian's products, or what are now being called apps, for the ESP that are called the Strategy Collection. Here we go. So Atlassian launched their Strategy Collection at Team 25 back in April. The Strategy Collection is a collection of apps for executives to optimize strategy planning, prioritization, and execution. Okay, the collection connects strategy priorities with work, goals, people, and funds, and leveraging these apps to bridge the gaps between strategy and execution. So currently, the apps in the strategy collection are Focus. Let me kind of roll down through these so you can see them here too, but I'm going to go through them quickly here. So the apps are Focus. Okay, this is for real-time strategy visibility. We'll be demoing this and really talking about those focus areas. Next is the newest part of the strategy collection called Talent. This just went general availability earlier this summer. This is for intelligent workforce planning. Next is really the heart of the strategy collection, Jira Align, or what can also be called Align. But this is for your strategic work planning and execution across all the portfolios or programs, whatever you call them, across your whole organization. And I also have in here Enterprise Insights, which you may or may not know about, but Enterprise Insights is the data lake for Jira Align that allows us to connect all that data to your BI tool of choice. And we're seeing more and more clients leverage Enterprise Insights for a lot of custom reporting that they want. reduce this a little bit. Here we go. All right, so now that you know those tools, and we're going to get into and demo those quite a bit. Now, I just want to talk about the strategy lifecycle, how these tools like fit into the overall lifecycle of strategies. So, Atlassian has released a very thorough white paper on their point of view around enterprise strategy and planning, some of which I'm going to be covering here, some of which you're going to see show up within the tool demos. But part of this, one of the crucial elements of this is the strategy lifecycle. So the strategy lifecycle can be thought of as the time dimension of ESP. So generally, strategies move through four phases: strategy, then planning, then execution, and then evaluation. So the flow is likely not linear. It might even take different forms for each strategy, or what we're going to eventually call focus areas in focus. But as we carry out the activities necessary in each phase, Atlassian's portfolio of tools can help us manage, communicate, and analyze our status and progress. So again, this is really, really high level, but we do see this some form of this life cycle across a variety of industries. Okay, so let's just dig into this quickly with how the life cycle fits in with Atlassian's apps or Atlassian's system of work. So in our strategy phase, we can use focus to create focus areas, to begin to associate those focus areas with goals, with work, and ultimately with budget and people. And then talent comes along as that people part, where you can start to decide, do we have the right people working on the right focus areas? Or how many people overall are contributing to given focus areas? And do we need to shift those people towards other focus areas? That sort of thing. Then as we shift to planning, that's where we start to get into Jira Align and potentially Jira Product Discovery. So Jira Align, again, I'm going to highlight this, but it's Jira Align is there for the backlog prioritizations of your work, all the way from themes down to features and stories. Jira Align also has roadmaps. It has newer capacity and forecasting modules. But it's the tool for that top-down strategic planning. And then Jira Product Discovery isn't part of the strategy collection, but Atlassian customers are starting to adopt it more and more and to use it for intake, discovery, and to potentially help with deciding what is ultimately planned and executed on even within Jira Align. Then execution, we get down again into Jira Align all the way then into Jira. Jira is where those features and stories, or especially the story level and the sprints, are executed on, and that data comes back into Jira Align, and you can start to see it roll up, that progress rolling all the way up the work hierarchy. Then for evaluation, when things are being worked on in Jira Align, we start to be able to evaluate these with, again, the underlying data lakes, whether that be the enterprise insights for Jira Align, or Jira, has its own database full of wonderful information that can be leveraged with Atlassian Analytics. If you have Jira Enterprise tier in the cloud, there's also plenty of other apps or custom development that you can pull that data out into your own data lake. But ultimately, there's a wealth of opportunity to pull the data from these different tools and to use your BI tool of choice for data analyzation and to see how your organization is performing. I will note again, Atlassian Analytics is not part of the strategy collection, but it does come with your enterprise tiers of Jira and Confluence in the cloud. Then we have some other tools out here, again, not focusing on those. You can learn about those in other webinars we have, but they all form a part of Atlassian's system of work in the cloud. Okay, we're almost to the demos. One last thing I want to just highlight, which hopefully will help connect some of the dots with the who, what, and where. So with this, just want to start to talk about who are the people, what are those layers of scale, and the people working at those layers, how do those connect? How do the people then connect with those layers of work and those layers of time? So we start to see these parallel hierarchies show up within the strategy collection. And I'll just go through one layer at a time. So at the very top, you have your executive teams. These teams are primarily going to be in focus. though potentially some might be in Jira Align. But up at this layer, you have your strategies, or as you'll see, they're called focus areas within Focus. And the time frame for these are going to be quarters, likely maybe even years. Okay, so longer term planning and strategies. Underneath this, we have the portfolio teams. And these teams are going to start to bridge into from Focus down into Jira Align, where there is that highest level of work that you can use or not called the theme. Again, you can rename these as well in Jira Align, but you have that layer of theme or strategic themes that again are quarters or potentially year long. Under that, you have your solution teams potentially, or maybe you just go straight down to your program teams. But here within Jira Align, you have themes that can be broken into portfolio epics or initiatives, whatever you're calling that layer of work in your organization. These then are typically around quarters, maybe more than one quarter for these. Down at that program level, you have your features. These are really meant to be created and sized to be done within one planning increment or one quarter. And then those features are broken down into stories, which your delivery teams are working on over in Jira. And then again, and that's down in your sprints, your 2 to 4 week sprints. And then again, all that work is rolling up from Jira, your delivery teams over in Jira. So the stories and their execution and progress is rolling up to those features, rolling all the way up again to give you visibility all the way up then to strategies. When strategies can be then updated and shown, are they on track or not? So that's a picture, a little glimpse into those different hierarchies. And now I want to get into the demo part of the webinar. So we're going to start off with Focus. Going to start off again at the top, and then we'll work our way down. So for this, we're going to jump over into the tools themselves. Okay. So here is Focus. You'll probably quickly note that it is in the cloud. It's in the Atlassian cloud. So when you do purchase the licenses for the strategy collection, again, you get Focus, you get Talent, you get Jira Align, you get Enterprise Insights, all a part of that strategy collection license. So once it's enabled and you're in the cloud here, you will start to see, again, Focus, Talent. It's another cloud app I'll get to shortly. Those are going to start to show up here as your apps out in your cloud, along with Jira and Confluence. So, and you can just pick that. Again, you can control who has access to it, just like you can control access to your other cloud apps. And once you come into Focus, just going to give a high-level walkthrough, and then we'll really start to look in at the focus areas. So on the left-hand menu, you have your For You. This is going to focus on those focus areas that you are either own or that you're following, the ones that you care about, where you can see the activity on those and how they're doing. There's a recent option that allows you to see the recent focus areas that you've been to. You can see I've been in here preparing for this, so you can see that. You can search for those as well. There is a starred option, which you see throughout the Atlassian cloud, where you can star different aspects of whatever app you're in, and you can see those very quickly here. And then the heart of Focus is the focus areas, which I'll talk about shortly. Up in the upper, or actually here in this upper toolbar, there is a search box, which again you'll see this show up in the other Atlassian cloud apps, but it allows you to search not just within Focus, but in the other Atlassian cloud. So you can look at various Jira work items or Confluence pages. There's a create button. This allows you to create a focus area, and I'll talk about the different hierarchy that you can set up here. You can also create goals. We'll talk about goals shortly. You have in-app notifications. There's a help, and there's settings, admin settings. So before I get into the actual user experience, let's just look quickly at the admin settings behind the scenes here. So first off, there's a personal focus settings, which allow you to control your notifications for different updates that are made to focus areas, changes, and even monthly email digest that you can toggle on or off. And there's also, if you're an admin of Focus, let's get back here. You can define the hierarchy. So again, you can define a very customized hierarchy. This basically starts blank when you get focus enabled, and you can start to break it out with your hierarchy here. Again, it's like parent to child, and so we've just set up a fairly generic hierarchy for demoing purposes here. But you can create new layers, and you can, create a number of layers here and name these exactly what you want to name them as well. You can see here, we can see how many are in each layer, how many focus areas are here within our instance. So you can define your hierarchy, very customizable. You can also define the connections that Focus has with other Atlassian apps. So it's connected to Goals, which Goals comes with Atlassian Cloud. It's another app within the Atlassian Cloud. You can see that you can also connect Focus to your Jira Cloud, can connect it to Jira Align, and also to Atlassian projects as well, which is another part of the Atlassian Cloud. So a number of connections available, and you can also import data, meaning those focus areas. If you have those stored somewhere else and you want to bring a lot of them in, you can import them. All right, so that's the admin area. I'm going to just keep moving. We have a lot of ground to cover. So back into the main area, the user area of Focus. So the main area is the focus areas themselves. And there's two different views within focus areas. You can see that when you first land in here, you're going to come to what's called the list view. You can see that's toggled here, this list view. You can also switch to another view called the map view. And I'll just show you what that looks like quickly. We're mostly going to focus on the list view. So the map view has the focus areas, at the various layers of your hierarchy here. You can click through those. You can also basically see under a given focus area, you can see how many sub-focus areas are listed. So each of these only has one sub-focus area that you can click on, and you can even choose that. And that'll basically kind of break out a given focus area, and you can start to see the parent and child relationship, so the family tree of a given focus area, and you can start to just work your way down through these little by little. So that's the map view, if that's something that's interesting to you. There is the list view, though. Again, that's the default. That's probably where a lot of people are going to be living and using the tool. So, but within each of these areas, you have a couple of tabs at the top. So first, it's going to show all the focus areas out here in the tool. You can also tab to see your focus areas, which again are going to be those focus areas that you're the owner of. And you might see the parent, like you can see I'm the owner of this bottom one, but somebody else is owning the top one, but I'll still see that. I'll still see like the hierarchy of how these are all set up. You can also see which focus areas you're following. So you may not be the owner, but you're following those. There's also a views tab that allows you to create a custom view. And I can come in here. I haven't done this yet. I've just created a box for this view, and then I can add in focus areas. So it's basically allows you to pick and choose like a shopping cart, various focus areas that you want to pick. So you can create your custom view there. Let's go back here. And then there's an archive tab. Nothing to archive, or nothing archived yet. Back in our main focus area, there's a number of ways you can search through these. You can do a text search. There's search by status, by owner, by type, meaning like which layer of the hierarchy you're in, based around goals that are linked to those focus areas, following and archived. So, and then within the list UI itself, you can customize this similar to other tools where you can decide which columns are going to show here. There's not a lot to choose from, but you can customize that. And then you can see all the different columns that you do have shown, and there's some actions you can take as well. Within this list view, you can break out a given focus area to see the sub-focus areas underneath it, and then collapse it. And you can then see, again, the statuses, the target dates, things like that. So as I break this out, now I want to actually come into a focus area to see what is going on. What are all the different things you can do with one given focus area? So for that, I'm going to go down to this bottom one, this one called demo. release AI meeting notes MVP in Q2. So I'll click on this, and that opens up the view screen, the edit screen, if you will, for this focus area. So here, there's a number of tabs. We'll walk through each of these. So first, you'll land into the Summary tab. This is going to highlight work, the work not started, positions related to this focus area, any goals that are off track, and the funding related to this focus area. As I scroll down, we'll see latest updates that people have been making, comments that others are adding to this as well. And we start to see the activity, if you will, the audit log for this focus area as well down at the bottom. For all of these, over here on the right-hand side of the screen, we'll see all the time who's the owner, which users are following this focus area, and then again, see which type this is, which layer of this the hierarchy it's in, and is it does it have a parent or not? It'll also show even sub-focus areas too. This one doesn't have a sub-focus area, so we don't see that show up here. So next is the About tab. Sure, I'm covering all this here. So we have the About tab. This allows a description, if you will, a rich text field to be filled out, similar to, again, the other Atlassian products, fields like this and other Atlassian Cloud apps. So you can keep updating this as you want to, and putting smart links as well to other Atlassian apps. There's an Updates tab. This is where you or others can put updates into this, so you can change the status if you want to here. You don't have to do that, but you could offer an update, giving a demo that went well. And you could put an update and post that, and that'll post as the latest update. Those people who are following it will be notified about that update in-app, so they can keep up to date. So that's the update feature, and you can see previous updates. Then we come to the Goals tab. So there is, again, tight integration with Focus with other Atlassian apps out here in the cloud. One of those is Goals. So this will show any goals completed, remaining. You can see I have one goal remaining, none that are overdue or due soon based on time. Oh, actually, before I get to goals, just to highlight, you can at any point update the status of a focus area. These are the choices that come out of the box. You can also provide a target date. Usually you provide these when you're creating a focus area. You can make an update to these. And notice that they can get very granular to the day, but you can also, there also is fuzzy dates around month, even around the quarter. You might not be sure exactly when you're going to complete the focus area. So that's available. This is also where you can follow or unfollow, and you have a few other actions out here. This is where you're going to star or unstar, and even can export and archive. So, but back to goals. So this is where you're going to see the goals that are linked to a focus area and the progress being made. As I scroll down, I see the focus area I'm in, and I can see the goals that are related to this. I've set up one goal here to demonstrate this. But you can add other goals as well. Within the UI, using this Add button, you can click Add. This allows you to link existing goals. You can search for goals that are out there, or you can create your own goal, and you basically give it a name, a target date, again, similar fuzzy dates, and an owner for the goal. But let's just dive into this particular goal that's set up here. And you can do multiple goals to a given focus area. And so a given goal will have its own status as well that can be updated from pending to off track to at risk to on track based on this 0 to 10 rating. You have target dates here, the owner, and then you have progress. So progress can be made. You could think of this as key results. So you can add a metric in here, and the metric can be added on this particular goal itself. You can see the various options around media mentions, net revenue. These are some of the out-of-the-box progress options or metric options. Currency, percentage. You can also create your own metric. So you can put a new metric on the goal itself. You can also put it on, or you can have the progress made on this goal come from the sub goals. So there is a goal hierarchy where you can have sub goals that you can put those metrics on sub goals that can roll up to a parent goal. So a couple of different options there in terms of metrics. Let me go ahead and even just add a metric in here. So I can put my starting value. Let's do 1,000, and I want to get to, whoops, I want to get to 10,000 as my target. And I can add that metric in here. And we can start to see, actually, let me adjust that. Hang on here. Kind of did it backwards. I'm making really good progress. So let me just start off with 500. You can start to just see how this works with your starting value, your target. How are you making progress? As this, you can keep updating this, and you're going to start to see that progress being made. So that's a little bit about goals. Goals can also have updates. They can be connected to Atlassian projects. They can even be connected into Jira Align and to Jira work items as well. So you can see this whole web of goals, focus areas, work. So that's the goals piece. There's also ways where you can see over here in the left-hand menu, you can go from focus over into goals, where you can see goals being created across across other potential people using goals in the Atlassian cloud, and you can find those goals that you want to connect into your focus areas. So that's the goals piece of this. Then we have the work. So you can connect work to a given focus area, similar to how goals are connected and linked. So here, notice I have a one work item linked here under this focus area. This one particularly has come from Jira Align, so I can see an icon that I know came from Jira Align as a portfolio epic or initiative. And you can pan over here and I can see the source of this. I can add in other work items using this add button again. And here you see the choices. And this depends on which apps you've connected to Focus. And I've connected all the possibilities. So there's Jira, there's Jira Align, there's also Atlassian projects. If you're interested in, again, choosing Jira Align, it's going to look at potential themes, epics. If you have capabilities turned on in Jira Align, that's another work item that you can potentially use under epics. So you're basically picking a type, and then you can start to search. And I don't have a good search necessary to look for at the moment, but this will allow you to search, and it's tightly integrated with the Jira Align, and it'll go out and look for all the different epics in Jira Align to potentially choose from. And then you can pick from those and add those as work items, like I did for this one. This is an epic from Jira Align that we'll go over. And you can have quick links here. I can click on this, and this will give us a quick taster again into Jira Align, but it again allows me to go straight into Jira Align, and I can see that epic that I've linked in here, which is meant to ultimately help to execute and to achieve this focus area. So hopefully you're starting to get the picture of all, again, these interconnections. And then lastly, we have positions. This is where talent starts to come in, okay? So you have the positions, the number of positions needed to help work on a given focus area. So I can see again that there's 3 positions here. All those positions have been filled by somebody within the organization. And you'll see if any of these positions aren't filled, and the tenure of the people that have filled those positions. So you start to see tenure distribution, location breakdown, as you can put, where people are located. There's lots of different fields for the people, the workers in your organization. But then here's where I can start to see, okay, this focus area that I'm in right now, I can start to even see those 3 positions and the job titles, the family that they're in, if there's any managers for those people, and then where they're located and the tenure. So this again is where you start to connect in talent. So this is where I'm going to now quickly go over to talent to show you what talent looks like. And to do that, I'm actually gonna, I could come over here to talent. You could also click on this manage option. And either way, but let me click on this manage option, which will take me and open up talent. I'll get rid of this tab. So that took me straight over into talent. And so talent, again, has a similar UI to Focus. You have your For You, which are going to be things related to you, primarily your position and positions you might be managing. There, and then you come to your main areas here, which are positions and managed positions. So again, talent is for workforce planning. So it's all about positions in your company and who's filling those positions, and then where are those positions being allocated towards your focus areas. So, so there's positions here. Actually, before I jump into those real quick, just wanted to highlight over in the settings, actually, before we look at this, let's go over to the admin settings here so you can start to see the possibilities. So in order for you to really use talent, you have to bring in those positions and the workers available for those that are filling those positions. So that's where there's a couple possibilities here. You can use some CSV files to upload positions and worker data into the tool. You can also click on this option and notice that you can set up an HIRS connector. I think right now there's a connector set up for workforce integration to have workforce Workday to be brought in the data from that tool to bring in and connect. But again, there's some possibilities of ways you can do CSV importing of data as well. So there's bringing in your position, your worker data. There's some permissions around who can allocate, who can see sensitive fields, things of that nature. There's also a fields area, which allows you to manage the fields that are listed for each position and or worker. So there's a lot of positions that are here out of the box, but you can add in custom fields as well, depending on what is the data that you have in your HIRS tool to bring in to talent. And then lastly here, there's a way as well to help in a bulk way to allocate those positions to various focus areas. Okay, so that's all the things happening in the background to kind of help bring in the data to start to be used and to start to be seen by users. Once that data is brought in, you have your positions where you're going to see all the positions available. You can also see by reporting line and by focus area. So there's, again, that tight integration with Focus. There's searching, text searching, and other filters available you can apply. You can also, similar again to Focus, you can start to group or start to adjust the columns shown here, toggle them on or off. You can also group, because imagine there's going to be a lot more than 3 positions in most of your organizations. There's going to be a lot shown here, and you can start to group them by the different fields that are here. And then the reporting line, this is again going to show that layer of the reporting structure that you have set up in your HIRS tool that's going to come in here and will be visible as well in here. You can see that I've set myself up to be a manager. I have one person reporting to me, so I can start to see that. And I can start to see the focus areas, how many positions are allocated to a given focus area. We only have those 3 lined up with that one that I showed you earlier. And then in the positions again, I can click on a given position. Let's click on myself. Again, this is all kind of generic data out here, but I can see a summary of the focus areas that I'm allocated to, my tenure, country, time zone, things of that. A lot of just a dashboard for a given worker, details about them. Again, a lot of the fields that are filled out, who's the direct report, who's reporting to me, any sub-positions under the position that I'm in. So a lot of data out here that you can start to see. And again, the reason it's brought in ultimately then is to connect the dots between these positions, the workers filling them, and those focus areas. So you can start to then see all that over in Focus that I showed earlier. All right, so that's Talent. Again, that's the newest app. They're still making a lot of investment into these apps, making adjustments, and we should know even more about those. There's going to be a Team 25 Europe happening next month in Barcelona. That there's going to be surely some new announcements around the strategy collection, where they're taking it in the future. So I'd highly recommend you can register for that Team 25 Barcelona to check out and watch those on demand or those recorded videos of those presentations there. All right, so we're back here. We've looked at focus, we've looked at talent. Now let's just do a quick commercial break about Valiantys. So we here at Valiantys, we are a platinum Atlassian partner, a solution partner. We're 100% dedicated to the Atlassian ecosystem. We're a 13-time Atlassian Partner of the Year. We've worked with at least, now this is always changing, 65 of the global Fortune 500 work with us. I'm sure it's more at the moment. We also have full stack development center of excellence. Again, anything you need with any integrations or anything with the front end view of the apps or any sort of custom apps needed within your Atlassian ecosystem, we are here. We can certainly help with any of that, doing a lot of cool stuff with a lot of companies around the world. With that, we're Atlassian's first global partner. We're based around the world. And again, 24/7 global coverage with over 600 team members. So we have a lot of experience, a lot of expertise with everything Atlassian. How can we help you? We can certainly help you with consulting, those professional services. We can help with licensing, with integration and development, again, with that full stack development team that we have. We also have managed services as well, even helping with hosting environments or just helping with needs you have with your performance of your Atlassian products, health checks, or just updates to your Atlassian products. We are here for that. And we also have training as well. We have a number of public training offerings, certainly can do a lot of different custom trainings as well. And you found us, you're on this webinar, so you know we have a lot of webinars and a lot of videos out on our YouTube channel as well. So we are here for about anything you could possibly need. We'd love to talk with you, see how we can help you out. Okay, back to our demo. So we're going to wrap up here with a demo of Jira Align, try to cover as much as I can to allow a few minutes at the end for questions. Again, if you do have any questions, put them into that Q&A part of this Zoom call. I'd love to help answer those at the end. So now we're going to jump into Jira Align. Okay, here we go. So Jira Align, let's click on this. So you'll notice pretty quickly Jira Align is not under that, like Atlassian Cloud. You don't see Jira Align as one of your apps there. Jira Align can be hosted in a number of ways. On the cloud, it can be hosted on-prem as well. So, but it is a separate tool that's being more and more tightly integrated with the Atlassian Cloud. So, so you can come in here with using either your Atlassian single sign-on through Guard or your other single sign-on strategy that you have. You'll come into a landing page, and I'll just start off with just a really quick high-level walkthrough of the UI, and then we're going to start to just go into some of the layers of scale and look at some of those opportunities for that top-down planning and that bottom-up execution and reporting. So, but at a high level here, you have all your choices really in this top, this menu at the top. One of the main parts of the navigation is under this Teams dropdown. So this Teams dropdown allows you to see basically the breakdown of the teams within the tool. So you have your enterprise layer of the tool that's going to cover things across all your different portfolios. Then you may be a company with one portfolio or many portfolios. So you'll see the portfolio layer here with your portfolio teams, how that's broken out. And then you can expand this to see what are the programs, or maybe you're using even solutions under that. You might have a larger hierarchy here within the tool. But here we have a portfolio broken down into the program layer of the tool. And then you can open up the program and you can see the teams that are working together, that team of teams that is lined up to that program as well. So you can see the whole hierarchy of your teams out here. And each of these then I'll get into, like when you go into each layer of the tool, you're going to see some different options. So the teams dropdown is super important now. the way they've reorganized this. There is, if you have the product management part of the tool turned on, you'll have this products dropdown, which allows you to define the products that your organization is working on and how those products are then connected into features and also personas, things like that. So there's a product area that you can use or not use. The customs room, I'm gonna skip over that, but that's something you can turn on with a feature flag to do some custom hierarchies within the tool. There's also a star dropdown. You can star different parts of the tool and see those here for quick navigation. You also have an items dropdown. This allows you to get to the different work items, different parts of the tool, to see all of those and to start to create them, to manage those. So I, as a super admin here, can see all of those. You can start to see all the things that are available here. And the terminology, all of these these work items can be adjusted based on the terminology for your organization. And you'll notice here, Jira Align is not constructed, not organized around projects like Jira is. So it's really more of all these different work items that are interconnected. And I'll get to that shortly with how you filter on what you want to see. So, but you can get to all of them quickly through that items dropdown. You have your create button that you see in other Jira. Again, Atlassian products allows you to create all those different work items. And then coming over here, you have searchability, in-app notifications, help, a huge area for administration. Again, we're not going to cover that in this webinar. And then profile where you can update your personal settings. So getting though into the tool, just some really popular areas of the tool, I'm going to try to walk through as quickly as possible. So again, Jira Align is meant for that planning and execution. So typically, we'll just jump into the portfolio layer of the tool to start looking at that top-down planning. So when you come into a given portfolio, you're going to see that portfolio in the upper left. You're also going to see the program increment, that time boxing, that time part of the hierarchy. And so this is really, really important part of the tool that allows you to pick a given program increment. These are typically set up as quarters. I'm going to go ahead and pick this PI5. And this, again, will define all the data you see here. You're going to see data related to the digital services portfolio and data that is marked and tagged with that PI5 program increment. So you always come into one of these portfolio rooms or whichever layers that you're in to see progress being made. But I want to highlight here, this is where your epics are living, potentially your themes, if you're going to use those, they live here as well in this layer. But you have this backlog option at your different layers of scale. And so the backlog option, as you might imagine, is where you're going to be able to see your different work items, in this case, the epics. And you can adjust these as well to see different backlogs. But this is where you can expand this. I can see all my epics for PI5. This notes that there's 33 of those. This is where I can drag and drop and re-rank the epics. Again, starting to think about planning. So imagine I'm trying to plan for PI5 and to decide which epics are we as a company going to try to achieve, try to work on and plan for in PI5. Well, you can decide on those here. You can start to prioritize those. Maybe you realize, 33 is just too much. We cannot possibly get that much done. So you could come into some of these ones down here, potentially change those to the next PI, push those out a little bit further, or maybe they just go back into the unassigned backlog where you're just not quite sure when you're going to work on those next. But this here clearly shows we have 33 at least currently being planned for PI5. And then in Jira Align, you can click on the title of a given work item. You'll see the view edit screen come out from the right-hand side. Epics have a lot of information. Again, not going to go through these in any depth, but you're always going to have a details tab for most work items with some of your main fields to fill out, like the program that's working on these, the owner, the program increments. You can see here that Jira Align supports WSGIF for scoring for prioritization. It also allows for estimates as well on a PI by PI basis. There's a design tab here. Again, going to quickly go through these. You can use these or not use these. You can turn them off if you don't want to use them. There's an intake tab that has a default, but you can also customize this with special custom fields for intake. There's a benefits tab, again, that can be very customizable beyond what's shown here. You can put in custom fields to decide the benefit, the lean business case. There's a value tab that allows for an ROI scoring. Again, this scoring can also be customized as well. Milestones tab, this is a newer feature of the tool that allows you to put in unique milestones with dates and even their own states that relate to this given epic. There's a spend tab. This kind of highlights that there is a whole piece of this tool that can help with budgeting, to put budgets in there, to start to do actual spend, forecasted spend, things like that. When you get down into like the nitty-gritty of story points and things like that. So there's a whole piece of this within the tool. There's also a forecasting. I'm not going to have too much time to get into this, but just to highlight that there is the ability for you to put capacity around the teams and even around the programs for within your organization, and then you can forecast against the capacity, whether that is in member weeks or team weeks, or I think those are some of the main options when you're talking about forecasting. So you can start to plan ahead and start to think about how many different teams or programs are going to be needed for a given epic, and start to plan, imagine that. And then you can start to see, well, are we over forecasting based on our capacity? So there's some newer capabilities within the tool for that. And then you can put in other links. So again, just a really quick walkthrough of epics and this backlog view. At this layer and all the layers, there are roadmaps as well. I want to highlight this roadmaps marked with a new. This is a part of the tool that Atlassian is doing a lot of investment, a lot of updates every month to this. You can see this is starting to look more and more like the Jira Cloud roadmaps and timelines, but this allows you to, again, to see timelines based on your start and planned end dates. You can start to see milestones show up here. That's a new feature. You can see some of the work breakdown from epics down to features, if you have features set up in the tool under those epics. You can bring in view settings, like you can see your program increments in here as well, adjust columns. You can pick columns to bring in here as well. So a lot of new features showing up here, and some various filters as well. So really cool part, something I'm really excited about, that we see our clients really excited about, this new roadmap capability. Again, I'll touch on it again really quick. There is opportunity within Jira Align to put in objectives and key results as well, whether you use focus areas and the goals over there or not. These are available to you. So you can create objectives at different layers of scale. Here's a portfolio objective. And you can just see here, you can add into different portfolios. You can decide the dates that these are on. You can put in key results over here as well. And you can align those objectives with in this case, their portfolio levels. So you could align them with your epics out here as well. So there's a number of things here within the tool around objectives. And there's this whole new OKR hub that allows you to see how you're doing with the key results and what the status is of objectives here within the tool. All right, so there's that at that layer. Then I just want to go down again from the portfolio layer down into the program layer. Let me go down into one of these programs. Let's pick the AI program. So when you get down to the program, this is that layer of the tool that really starts to connect those work items from epics down into features. This is where those features live in the tool. And features is that work item that that highest level of work item that will start to sync from Jira Align over to Jira to become a feature, or at that Jira epic level within Jira. So those teams can start to work on it and break those features down into stories. But the idea here is that the features are here. There's a whole backlog, again, that you can start to create the features, and you can start to see, let me make sure I pick PI5 here as well. So you can start to see there's a backlog here for your features. You can start to plan those out for the upcoming program increment. in a given feature. These are a little simpler than Epic's, but they have their own details tab of a lot of out-of-the-box field. There is some customization as well with custom fields available. This is also where you start to see the ability. I don't see it here at the moment. This isn't a particular program synced over to Jira, but you would then see a Jira project field here if it was synced, and you could say, hey, I want this feature to be created over in this Jira project, and that's when it's going to start to sync up between the two tools. So a lot of fields to fill out here, a design tab, there's milestones at the feature level, spend, forecasting as well down to feature level. So a lot of different possibilities with these work items. But then down here at the program level, this is again where you're going to start to potentially really be doing your PI planning. And for that, there's something called the program board that we see clients really, really liking. And one of the big features in this tool that they go for, where you have this program board that outlines all the sprints coming up for the next program increment. For a given program, you can see the teams in this program. You can see a lot of information here. The features are noted as a rectangle. And you can start to see by the color coding, this is actually an ongoing PI, so you can start to see how things are progressing within here. But you can see your features. There's also the ability to put in objectives up here, those that are listed here, those program level or team level objectives. You could put those into the tool. You also have the ability here, this chevron view. Here, I'll just click on one of these. But this starts to highlight that there's a work item called a dependency within Jira Align. So this is a really cool feature. I'm going to open this up. I think this is might already be committed. But yeah, this highlights that there is a dependency, really robust dependency management in Jira Align that allows you to, let's say, in this case, a given feature, a team cannot do it on its own. So one team, in this case, the Liverpool team, is depending on the alpha team. So they create a dependency saying, hey, we need your help. We need it done by such and such a sprint. The other team can commit to it. There's like this whole workflow for dependencies, but it allows your whole organization to start to see how are we doing with our the dependency mapping and the amount of work that we're required for one team's required on another team to do. So it maybe starts to show those bottlenecks with accomplishing what you're trying to achieve. So there's a whole dependency setup here. You can get to those as well over here in the more items, dependencies. There's also, some of these are marked with a yellow. That means there's a risk. So there's a whole place here within the tool. I'll show you this quickly. There's a whole place in the tool where you set up risks and you can create risks and align those risks with features or other work items that you have. So again, lots and lots of possibilities in the tool. Down here at the program level, when you're doing your PI planning, you can start to call out, plan those features. You can plan for dependencies, put in risks, put in objectives. Ultimately, as we come back to that program board, you want to be able to really start to see when are teams able to commit to the features that they're meant to commit to. And then this helps those teams to then start to plan out the stories and to start to put those stories in the appropriate sprints in order to allow them to achieve their part of the work for a given feature. So program board is really, really important for most companies that use Jira Align. And again, they use it for PI planning, but then also they can start to use it for execution as well. So as we wrap up, just wanted to highlight two final things. Yeah, I highlighted the program board. Then there are just a lot of reports here within the tool. A lot of reports that come out of the box. Then there also are custom reports that you can put in here. We've put in a couple just as an example where you can put in a custom report. And in this case, these are linked. You can put in potentially Power BI. You could probably put in links, embed links in for Tableau or other Power or BI tools. We also just wanted to highlight that your underlying Jira Align data can also come into Atlassian Analytics, which again is over in the cloud if you have an enterprise tier, and you can bring in a link to specific analytics dashboards within Jira Align as well. So a lot of custom reporting opportunities within the tool as well. All right, whew. So a lot of stuff here, but again, just to highlight again, to wrap up Jira Align, you're doing your top-down planning from your themes or epics down to features. Those features then are syncing over to Jira. The teams in Jira are then breaking those into stories, potentially even to subtasks. And then all that work, those down from the subtasks, certainly from the story layer, that work is coming over. It's syncing back into Jira Align to then start to roll up, to start to show the progress being made towards those features and then towards those epics at the portfolio layer. And then you have this whole data lake of all the information coming over from Jira, all the information in Jira Align that you can start to do all sorts of custom reports as well. So a lot of great opportunities. Hopefully you're starting to get an imagination for how this tool may or may not be helpful for your company. So with that, I'm going to just wrap up with some Q&A. And just to highlight, I think Kristen's already put in some links to our YouTube channel and our other events coming up. And you can also reach out to me with this QR code on LinkedIn. My email is also listed here. I'm sure Kristen's also put in my email as well. Love to talk with you more about the strategy collection as a whole, or really anything Atlassian related. I can certainly start a conversation, connect you with other people in Valiantys that could help you as well. So, but in terms of questions, so let's see. Let me see if there's any questions. All right. Yes, we do have one. We're using AHA for strategy planning. Which products are equivalent to AHA? So I'm not certainly an AHA expert. Uh, I would hope that a lot of the things in AHA, or at least I've seen some clients like look at AHA, look and start to come in the Jira Align. I think Jira Align would probably be the most, that potentially with Focus would be the products that would be equivalent. You certainly have the road mapping capabilities within Jira Align that you could potentially, again, start to look at your work items, start to do planning for that. That you can even bring in some of those objectives in Jira Align into the new roadmap that I showed you earlier in the demo that Atlassian's investing in. But again, there's also that connectability up to the focus areas. Potentially, again, don't know all the nuances of AHA, but I'd like to think a lot of that could certainly come into play, primarily in Jira Align, maybe into Focus as well. Yeah, thank you for that question. And then there's one final question. Is there any other custom training or public training for Jira Align? We don't have any other boot camps around Jira Align that's in a public fashion. We are starting to think about that, certainly with all these new features coming into the strategy collection. If you are interested in more training, or certainly if you obviously want more demo, want more questions answered, please reach out to me. You can also reach out to Kristen or our training team if you're interested in some things that don't show up on our website. But we certainly can do any type of training that you need, or any standing up to your line, the strategy collection. We'd certainly love to talk with you about that. Okay, we are just about here now. An hour is done. So again, thank you so much for attending this webinar. Again, hopefully there's a lot we covered here and a lot of things to consider with the strategy collection. But again, hopefully it's been really helpful to you, and we look forward to hearing from you in the future. Thanks.